The Devil's Dictionary by Ambrose Bierce. The letter B. Baal, noun. An old deity, formerly much worshipped under various names. As Baal, he was popular with the Phoenicians. As Belus, or Bel, he had the honor to be served by the priest Berosus, who wrote the famous account of the deluge. As Babel, he had a tower partly erected to his glory on the plain of Shinar. From Babel comes our English word, Babel. Under whatever name worshipped, Baal is the sun god. As Beelzebub, he is the god of flies, which are begotten of the sun's rays on the stagnant water. In Physicia, Baal is still worshipped as Bolus, and as Beli, he is adored and served with abundant sacrifice by the priests of Guttledom. Babe, or baby, noun. A misshapen creature of no particular age, sex, or condition, chiefly remarkable for the violence of its sympathies and the antipathies it excites in others, itself without sentiment or emotion. There have been famous babes, for example, little Moses, from whose adventure in the bulrushes the Egyptian hierophants of 7 centuries before doubtless derived their idle tale of the child Osiris being preserved on a floating lotus leaf. Ere babes were invented, the girls were contented. Now man is tormented, until to buy babes he has squandered his money. And so I have pondered this thing, and thought maybe tea were better than baby. The first had been eagled or condored. Ro Amil. Bacchus, noun. A convenient deity invented by the ancients as an excuse for getting drunk. In public worship, then, a sin, that for devotions paid to Bacchus, the lictors dare to run us in, and resolutely thump and whack us? Joris. Back, noun. That part of your friend which it is your privilege to contemplate in your adversity. Backbite, transitive verb. To speak of a man as you find him when he can't find you. Bait, noun. A preparation that renders the hook more palatable. The best kind is beauty. Baptism, noun. A sacred rite of such efficacy that he who finds himself in heaven without having undergone it will be unhappy forever. It is performed with water in 2 ways, by immersion or plunging, and by aspersion or sprinkling. But whether the plan of immersion is better than simple aspersion, let those immersed and those aspersed decide by the authorized version, and matching their agues tertian. G.J. Barometer, noun. An ingenious instrument which indicates what kind of weather we are having. Barrack, noun. A house in which soldiers enjoy a portion of that of which it is their business to deprive others. Basilisk, noun. The cockatrice, a sort of serpent hatched from the egg of a cock. The basilisk had a bad eye, and its glance was fatal. Many infidels denied this creature's existence, but Semperlo Orator saw and handled one that had been blinded by lightning, as a punishment for having fatally gazed on a lady of rank whom Jupiter loved. Juno afterward restored the reptile's sight and hid it in a cave. Nothing is so well attested by the ancients as the existence of the basilisk, but the cocks have stopped laying. Bastinado, noun. The act of walking on wood without exertion. Bath, noun. A kind of mystic ceremony substituted for religious worship, with what spiritual efficacy has not been determined. The man who taketh the steam bath, he loseth all the skin he hath, and for he's boiled a brilliant red, thinketh to cleanliness he's wed, forgetting that his lungs he's soiling with dirty vapors of the boiling. Richard Gowan. Battle. Noun. A method of untying with the teeth of a political knot that would not yield to the tongue. Beard. Noun. The hair that is commonly cut off by those who justly excoriate the absurd Chinese custom of shaving the head. Beauty. Noun. The power by which a woman charms a lover and terrifies a husband. Befriend. Transitive verb. To make an ingrate. Beg. Verb. To ask for something with an earnestness proportioned to the belief that it will not be given. Who is that, father? A mendicant child, haggard, morose, and unaffable, wild. See how he glares through the bars of his cell. With citizen mendicant all is not well. Why did they put him there, father? Because, obeying his belly, he struck at the laws. His belly? Oh, well, he was starving, my boy, a state in which doubtless there is little of joy. No bite had he eaten for days, and his cry was, bread, ever bread. What's the matter with pie? With little to wear, he had nothing to sell. To beg was unlawful, improper as well. Why didn't he work? He would have done that, but the men said, get out, and the state remarked, scat. I mention these incidents merely to show that the vengeance he took was uncommonly low. Revenge, at the best, is the act of a Sioux, but for trifles, pray, what did bad mendicant do? Stole 2 loaves of bread to replenish his lack, and tuck out the belly that clung to his back. Is that all, father dear? There's little to tell. They sent him to jail, and there they'll send him to, well, the company's better here than we can boast, and there's bread for the needy, dear father? Toast. Atka Mip. Beggar. Noun. One who has relied on the assistance of his friends. Behavior. Noun. Conduct, as determined not by principle, but by breeding. The word seems to be somewhat loosely used in Dr. Jarmark Holbom's translation of the following lines of Desire. Recordare Jesu pie, quod sam cosa tue vie, ne me perdas illa die. Pray remember, sacred Savior, whose the thoughtless hand that gave your death blow. Pardon such behavior. Belladonna. Noun. In Italian, a beautiful lady. In English, a deadly poison. A striking example of the essential identity of the two tongues. Benedictines. Noun. An order of monks, otherwise known as Black Friars. She thought it a crow, but it turned out to be a monk of St. Benedict croaking a text. Here's one of an order of crooks, said she. Black friars in this world, fried black in the next. The Devil on Earth, London, 1712. Benefactor. Noun. One who makes heavy purchases of ingratitude without, however, materially affecting the price, which is still within the means of all. Berenice's hair. Noun. A constellation, Coma Berenices, named in honor of one who sacrificed her hair to save her husband. Her locks an ancient lady gave her loving husband's life to save, and men they honored so the dame upon some stars bestowed her name. But to our modern married fair, who'd give their lords to save their hair, no stellar recognition's given. There are not stars enough in heaven. G.J. Bigamy. Noun. A mistake in taste for which the wisdom of the future will adjudge a punishment called trigamy. Bigot. Noun. One who is obstinately and zealously attached to an opinion that you do not entertain. Billingsgate. Noun. The invective of an opponent. Birth. Noun. The first and direst of all disasters. As to the nature of it, there appears to be no uniformity. Castor and Pollux were born from the egg. Pallas came out of a skull. Galatia was once a block of stone. Pericillus, who wrote in the 10th century, avers that he grew up out of the ground where a priest had spilled holy water. It is known that Aramachus was derived from a hole in the earth made by a stroke of lightning. Leucomedon was the son of a cavern in Mount Etna, and I have myself seen a man come out of a wine cellar. Blackguard. Noun. A man whose qualities, prepared for display like a box of berries in a market, the fine ones on top, have been opened on the wrong side. An inverted gentleman. Blank verse. Noun. Unrhymed iambic pentameters. The most difficult kind of English verse to write acceptably, a kind therefore much affected by those who cannot acceptably write any kind.